and welcome to This Thing Called Life, a podcast dedicated to sharing stories of giving, kindness, compassion, and humanity. Your host, Andy Johnson, will guide you through powerful stories of organ, tissue, and eye donation from individuals, families, and healthcare teams whose experiences will inspire you. Every act of giving, no matter how small, has the potential to change a life. We're so glad you're here. Now, let's dive into the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to This Thing Called Life. I'm your host, Andy Johnson, and I am so excited to be here today. I have a great guest with me. She's a colleague of mine, which I'm very proud to say, and she is a huge champion of donation. And so we're just really honored to have her to be a part of the Network for Hope team. Hello, Chelsea McNichols.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're busy, mom of two, and working with Network for Hope. So I know, carving time out to be with us, I really appreciate it because your story is just so, it's just so heartwarming and inspirational. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
So let's start at the beginning. What brought you to Network for Hope?
So I've worked in healthcare for years. My entire professional career, I've worked in healthcare, a variety of different places. But after having my second child, I just kind of knew that I wanted to step away from bedside, but still be involved in the healthcare community. So I did a lot of research. And honestly, I was just totally drawn to Network for Hope because of the mission. At that point, I had no connection to donation, but I was deeply committed to learning more about it and just kind of seeing how I would fit into the mission and being able to serve families and hospitals in a different way.
Okay. So your role at Network for Hope, you're really like a connector in a lot of ways. That's how I see it when I think about it. So tell us more about what it means to be a hospital partnership liaison.
Sure. So I really think your description was great. We are the glue that holds the process together. I believe that our team is kind of a dual advocate in the donation process.
Yes.
So what that means is that we hold these deeply personal connections to the hospital staff. We build those strong relationships and make sure that the hospital is supported before, during, and after donation. That includes education, follow-up when there is a case at their hospital, but also just day-to-day support, checking in on nurses that were involved in a case or speaking to a physician who may have questions about the process. We update policies, agreements, things like that. So there's a lot of housekeeping involved in making sure that the hospital is compliant with the donation process. On the other hand, we are the advocate for our team as well. So Network for Hope team going on site to the hospital, we want to make sure that they also feel supported and that when they are in that hospital, that the hospital knows how to support our team and make sure that donation can happen and that those families are given the opportunity for donation.
And it's such an important role, because donation can't happen unless we have good relationships with our hospital partners.
Sure.
And so I think it really, you're a supervisor, so congratulations on that. But your team, they have these very special skills, and I love seeing you all doing that work and just, again, you're like that bridge, and it's so important.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about your role at Network for Hope?
I think the people that I have the opportunity to work alongside of each day, they're so passionate. I've never worked with more passionate people. That includes the hospital staff as well. They're doing a job every day, often tired and thankless. So being able to work alongside of them, but also work alongside people at Network for Hope that have a variety of backgrounds and are so committed to the mission and just helping others.
Yes. And I echo what you said, just the opportunity, I think, to be like working alongside the staff at Network for Hope as well as our champions at the hospitals. It's just, I don't know, there's no other work like this.
No.
And I know, and I don't know, it just warms my heart.
Yeah,
So I
same.
really enjoy that. So what's the thing that you find most challenging in your role?
I would say when things go awry at a hospital, that is challenging
Yeah.
because the work is not flawless. The work is never done, if you will. So there are always challenges that arise. So kind of putting on an investigative hat, I do like it, but it is challenging because
Right.
sometimes you hit a speed bump and sometimes you hit a brick wall. So knowing how to find a different path to your end goal, it's exciting and empowering to do that, but it's also not easy.
Right, right. The work definitely is not easy. But I also think, too, that's the people that have been doing it as long as they have, that's part of what they enjoy.
Sure.
Right? We do a lot of solutioning, as I like to
Yeah.
say.
Right.
And you have to be creative because it's not always just like, okay, we can do, A plus B equals C.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's really neat about our leadership at Network for Hope, too. Boots on the ground staff are empowered to be innovative and come up with creative solutions to problems that we see in the day to day. So I think that's really unique, again, to our organization and how our leadership supports us.
Yes, I would agree. And this past year or so, it's definitely there's been a lot of scrutiny and just questions. And how have you been able to navigate that as we're all working collectively to correct the misinformation and continue to foster public trust, but being in that role with the hospitals, how have you navigated that?
I think it leans back into that strong relationship and strong trust. So, knowing the truth, right? Like we know the truth.
Right.
And we have strong relationships with our hospitals to where they trust us. We've built
Right.
that culture of trust and connection with our partners. So knowing that that the story is misconstrued,
Right.
and they believe us.
They understand. the
Yeah.
facts.
And then I think, too, leaning on other people who understand and know, too, empowering our ambassadors or people who aren't yet ambassadors to feel empowered to share their story and their truth
Yes.
so that more of the public can, come to know
Yes.
what donation really is.
I agree with you 100%. So, as we know, this work, it's not just like your 9 to 5 and you get very connected to the mission. And you really got connected to the mission. You said earlier prior to, you didn't have a connection to donation, but now you do.
Yep.
And so I'd love for you to share your story.
Sure. So I remember in interviews and conversations, people would ask me, what's your connection to donation? And I would always say, well, I work here. So learning more about what donation really means in my first 2 years as an employee here, I learned the impact of that national wait list. I didn't know that was a thing 3
Right.
years ago. So, I have been so blessed to not have anyone that had been impacted by the need for a organ or a life-saving gift. In February of 2025, I saw a post on Facebook from a girl that I went to high school with, and it was pretty broad. It just said her mom needed a kidney and they were kind of looking into that, exploring their options, and that if anyone was interested in being tested, to reach out to the hospital that she was being worked up at. And so I kind of thought, well, why wouldn't I be tested? If I could be a match, why wouldn't I? So I started doing a little bit of research on my own, and then I did reach out to the hospital. Within the first week, I realized that I wasn't a blood type match for her. So to me, initially, I think it was a closed door. Like, you can't be a living
Right.
kidney donor for Dawn. So what's next? So I remember going back to God and being like, okay, God, that was a no. What's next?
Right.
So a few weeks had passed, and again, back on Facebook, I saw a post from another family that I had gone to high school with, and their little boy needed a kidney. He was under 2 and had spent his whole life in children's.
Wow.
And I remember being like, wait, don't kids need organs from kids? Like, an adult can't be an organ donor to a child, but the post said otherwise. So that prompted additional investigation on my end. And it led to more conversations with people that I've come to work very closely with through my job. And I learned that adults can donate to kids. I work very closely with Cincinnati Children's in this role, and I think it was just kind of an aha moment.
Yeah.
Again, God showing up and saying, here's your next step.
Right. Wow.
So I was tested for that little boy on that post, and unfortunately super fortunately, he found his match while I was in the testing process. But again, that wasn't a closed door. That was an opportunity for an additional conversation, and I was being worked up as the hospital normally does to
Yeah.
become a living kidney donor, and just kept taking one step after the next.
Wow. What stands out to me in that story is that at any point in that you could have said, okay, I tried. And you just kept going.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Because you could have easily said, nah, I'm good. I tried.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of stubborn. I think I didn't ever take no as a closed door. I think I leaned heavily into my faith and said, if I'm being led to this, if I'm being called to this, then show me the next open door. And each time a door was opened.
Wow. So you were able to be a donor. Tell us when that happened.
So September 9th of 2025, I had gone through the process at Children's as an altruistic donor. And so I didn't know if I would ever meet my recipient. But again, I just kept believing that this was what I was supposed to be doing. And on September 8th, I was able to meet Reed and his sweet mom and dad there at Children's
Oh my
the day
goodness.
before our surgery.
So tell us about Reed. What's he like?
So Reed is 4 years old. He had gotten sick. He was typically developing little guy. He had gotten sick at 18 months and spent about 6 months in the ICU. His family was told that he may never come out of the ICU, that they may have to make that difficult decision
Oh my goodness.
to think about what's best, ultimately for him. And he made really positive improvements and was able to be discharged from the ICU. However, he was then requiring dialysis 3 times a week because of the medications that he was on. His kidney had gone into kidney failure. So his family was making over an hour drive to and from the hospital there in Akron 3 times a week. And that became their reality for a year until he was listed on the kidney donation list. And at that point, they were told that he would likely receive a deceased donor kidney because the family had exhausted their resources. Everyone in their close circle had been tested. So at that point, they were kind of waiting on that call for a deceased kidney.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were the match.
Yeah. So they talk about that call that they received when the coordinator at Children's called and said, we have a living donor match for you. And she was like, the mom was like, who? She said, someone just came off the street and said they want to give their kidney to Reed. She couldn't believe it because they knew that their circle
Right.
had been exhausted. And so she tells me all the time, she's like, I still can't believe that this happened, that you did this for us.
You were like the blessing that came out of nowhere for them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how is the little guy doing?
He's doing really well.
Good.
We talk about every week, the mom and I, and share
do?
pictures, and she keeps me updated. He got an ultrasound of his kidney, and she sent me a picture and said, "There's your kidney on the screen." So it's really, we've built a really special connection, and yeah, keep very close in touch.
Oh, Chelsea, that is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. So I wanted to ask, because I'm sure, like, did you say to your husband, like, okay, I'm going to donate a kidney? Like, what was the reaction from your family about your decision?
Sure. So I think initially it was a little bit of shock. A lot of why now? Why you? My dad said, "Can I do it instead?" So I think, again, a great opportunity for me to be an advocate and to educate people in my circle. My husband and my entire family was incredibly supportive. Of course, they were concerned initially because they love me very much and they wanted to make sure that it was the best decision for me, but incredibly supportive. And my mom got to go and meet Reed and his mom with me, so that she was very grateful for that experience as well.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Oh, I think you're making me want to cry. Oh my gosh. So you've talked about faith. Tell me, what role did that play for you? Well, what role has that played for you in your life?
Sure.
And then also in coming to make this decision?
Yeah, I think when I can look back on my life, faith was the foundation through every step and every decision. Maybe in the moment, not as easy to see, but now looking back, I can absolutely identify that. So I started 2025 off, and I very much remember my prayer in January being, use me, how I'm supposed to be used.
Right.
So, I think, that is why I saw those Facebook posts. Out of hundreds of Facebook posts that I see a day, why did that one stand out in February? And then again, 3 weeks later, So I believe that faith is deeply rooted in my journey. And every time that I saw a door that, could have been the end, could have been the no, as you said, God was right there and leading me to the next step. And I think it's a great example of faith too. When things got hard, or it would have been easier to just say no and back out.
Right.
I leaned heavily on my faith and followed where I was being led.
You have these two adorable children. Do they think mommy's like a superhero for doing that, for donating a kidney to a nice little boy?
I think so. I hope they see the value in it. I hope they understand it. I certainly explained it to them in a very watered down way. We got some great books to read and talk about it.
Nice.
But I think what I hope it is for them is an example of loving out loud.
I love that.
Yeah, showing up for your faith and for others.
That's beautiful. What would you tell someone who is considering being a living donor?
Sure. I think get the information. Take the next step. Learn more. What's the worst that could happen, right? Get more information and see if you're even a candidate.
Right.
Your yes could be the yes that someone else has been storming heaven for. Your simple decision can really make a lifelong impact on someone else.
Wow. I also think, too, it's a good opportunity to educate that when someone does become a living donor, then if something, because I hear this a lot, they're like, well, what if somebody, what if you need your kidney down the line or what have you? But when you do make that heroic decision, then if something were to happen, that person is then brought to the top of the list.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Yeah. So I think that, I mean, again, I think it's all about doing your research and really understanding the power of that decision. And I think you're a phenomenal human being just for being so brave to just say, yeah, this is what I'm being drawn to.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I hope sharing my story gets one more person off the list every time it's played, and every time someone hears this story, that God is definitely glorified, and there's more education and information shared about living donation and donation in general.
Right. Can you talk about like the healing process and the
Sure.
hospital stay and what that was like?
Yeah, so I was in the hospital that first day for my surgery. It was about, I think, 6 to 8 hours long, which I think, I don't know, is maybe a little bit longer. I donated my right kidney, which is less common. It's more common to donate your left kidney.
I didn't know that.
So my surgery was a little bit more lengthened than the average living kidney donor. But I was back in my room that night, and then I remember seeing the surgeon the next morning, and he was like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm ready to go." I said, "What do I need to do to get out of here?" And he like laughed, and he said, "You need to pee, you need to walk, and you need to eat." So I was like, okay, let's go. Check, check, check. Yeah, I actually walked up to see Reed in the ICU that afternoon. So that was my walk. Again, very humbling to see him and his family in that, 12 hours post-op, what they were experiencing as opposed to what I was experiencing as the donor. He was hooked up to so many machines, and I think he was dealing with some like itchiness and complications from medications and things like that. But so powerful to see them and hug them.
So describe that moment when like you walk in and they see you, you see them. What was that? What was that like?
I think it was powerful. It was very special.
Yeah.
I think there was not very many words, but a lot of tears.
Yeah.
And, I think at some point they did mumble thank you. But it was really special. And, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of gratitude in that moment. Gratitude for my body and the way I was healing and recovering. And again, gratitude to God and my faith that we both came out on the other side of that surgery.
Yes.
And we're ready to tackle our recovery. So circling back to my recovery after that, after I checked my 3 boxes, if you will, I was home later that evening. So I ended up home on post-op day 1.
Wow.
And that was where I was comfortable.
Sure.
I wanted to be home as quickly as possible, back with my kids and my husband at our house. So my recovery was relatively smooth. I didn't have any hiccups. I think, again, being mindful of what my body was telling me it needed, which was rest, and just respecting the recovery process. I was back in the gym 6 weeks later.
Okay.
I'm now back to running and doing hot yoga. So
Oh, that's great.
my body is, physically recovered and
Yeah.
mentally recovered, and I'm back to living all my normal activities.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is just amazing. I mean, it's still to me, yes, we've done this work but I'm just in awe of the fact that someone can actually do that. Donate a kidney to someone else.
Yeah.
Right? I just that never stops being like big.
I know.
That is, and I think to your point to me that's God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really wild to think that a part of me is living on in someone else. And that most days I completely forgot I even did it because
Right.
I am right back to where I was. Wow. 5 months ago prior to the surgery. So
That is awesome.
yeah.
That is awesome. Well, Chelsea, you're awesome.
Thank you.
We,
So are you.
well, thank you. We appreciate you. I know Reed and his family love and appreciate you and what you did. And you represent hope, like you really do. And you were that hope for Reed.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
you're a hero.
Thanks.
So.
So,
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in with us, and I want to thank Chelsea again for just sharing her beautiful story. And also just remind everyone that there are more than 100,000 people waiting for a life-saving organ transplant, and the vast majority, about 90,000, are in need of kidney transplants. What can you do? You can learn more, do research, understand what it really means to be a living kidney donor and how that can impact not only a person, but their family, the community that they work and live in. It just has this massive ripple effect. And you could be that difference maker. You could be hope for someone else. So I just want to say again, thank you, and just remind you to please be kind to yourself and to others. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to This Thing Called Life. Remember, every act of giving, no matter how small, has the potential to change a life. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts so you never miss a new episode. We'd truly appreciate it if you could share, like, or leave us a review to help us grow.